Resilient ownership, the practical philosophy of habits, grit, and empowered leadership. Chapter 10. The coaching habit, empowering through questions. In the philosophy of resilient ownership, the highest expression of leadership is not giving answers, solving problems, or directing every action. It is cultivating the coaching habit, the disciplined practice of saying less and asking more. By mastering a small set of powerful questions, leaders activate the intrinsic capabilities of others, multiply their own impact, and create organizations where people grow into leaders themselves. This final chapter brings every preceding principle to life in daily interactions. Without the coaching habit, radical candor can feel like top-down criticism, extreme ownership may become micromanagement, intrinsic drive stays dormant, grit lacks direction, and even the best atomic habits or hedgehog focus fail to scale. The coaching habit transforms the entire philosophy from a personal operating system into a self-replicating culture of empowerment, autonomy, and continuous development. The core insight is simple yet revolutionary. Most leaders talk too much. They default to advice-giving, problem-solving, and instruction because it feels helpful and efficient in the moment. Yet this habit creates dependency, stifles thinking, and robs people of the opportunity to develop their own growth mindset, ownership, and mastery. The coaching habit counters this by replacing the urge to tell with the discipline to ask. 7 foundational questions form the backbone of the practice. Each question is deliberately designed to slow down the conversation, deepen reflection, and shift responsibility back to the individual or team, exactly where it belongs under extreme ownership and intrinsic drive. The first question, what's on your mind? Opens space gently but powerfully. It invites the other person to set the agenda, revealing what truly matters to them right now. This single question activates autonomy immediately. It signals respect for their priorities and concerns, while giving the coach insight into underlying issues. Followed by attentive listening and genuine curiosity, Chapter 6. It builds the empathetic connection that makes all subsequent coaching effective. The second question, and what else, is the master follow-up. It combats the rush to solution and uncovers deeper layers. Most people offer the first or second thing that comes to mind. The real issue often surfaces on the third or fourth response. This question prevents shallow diagnosis and trains the habit of thorough exploration. It reinforces the growth mindset by demonstrating that initial thoughts are rarely complete and that deeper insight comes through persistent inquiry. And what else? Also sustains grit. When people are encouraged to keep thinking rather than settling for easy answers, they build the perseverance muscle needed for long-term challenges. It turns coaching sessions from quick fixes into genuine development conversations that honor the compound nature of atomic habits and disciplined greatness. The third question, what's the real challenge here for you? Focuses the conversation. It moves from venting or surface symptoms to the core issue. This question integrates extreme ownership beautifully. It asks the individual to own the challenge rather than externalize it. By framing it as, for you, the coach gently places responsibility where it belongs while still offering support. Combined with radical candor, Chapter 9, it allows the leader to add direct observation if the real challenge remains unstated. I care about your success, and from what I'm seeing, the real challenge might also involve X. Does that resonate? The fourth question, what do you want? Clarifies desire and aligns with intrinsic drive. It surfaces the underlying goal or outcome the person is seeking. This question reconnects the conversation to purpose and mastery. It prevents coaching from becoming problem-solving for its own sake and ensures efforts serve meaningful ends. When people articulate what they truly want, autonomy strengthens because the path forward becomes self-authored rather than imposed. The fifth question, how can I help, is a humility check and a boundary setter. It prevents the coach from rushing in as rescuer and forces clarity on the requested support. Often the best help a leader can offer is continued coaching rather than taking over. This question reinforces extreme ownership for both parties. The coachee owns their request, and the leader owns their capacity and role. It protects against overfunctioning while demonstrating care personally. The sixth question, if you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? Introduces strategic discipline. It connects directly to the hedgehog concept, Chapter 7, and disciplined greatness. Every yes requires a no elsewhere. Asking this question cultivates focus, prevents dilution of effort, and builds the self-awareness needed to maintain the three circles over time. It turns coaching into a tool for long-term excellence rather than short-term busyness. The seventh question, what was most useful for you, closes the loop with reflection and learning. It reinforces the growth mindset by turning every conversation into an opportunity to extract value and improve future interactions. This meta-question builds the coaching habit itself, creating a culture where feedback flows in both directions and continuous refinement becomes natural. These 7 questions do not operate in isolation. They form an integrated sequence that weaves together the full tapestry of resilient ownership. A typical coaching conversation might flow like this. What's on your mind? And what else? What's the real challenge here for you? With possible radical candor input. What do you want? Exploration of options through additional, and what else? How can I help? If you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? Close with, what was most useful? Throughout, the leader listens far more than speaks, interjecting direct challenges only when care has been clearly established, and when the coachee's own thinking would benefit from an external perspective. This approach scales intrinsic drive, Chapter 3, across the organization. Autonomy is honored because the coachee drives the agenda and generates solutions. Mastery deepens through reflective practice and deliberate focus on real challenges. Purpose is clarified and reinforced in nearly every conversation. When people are regularly asked powerful questions, they experience motivation as internal and renewable rather than externally pumped. Atomic habits thrive under coaching. Instead of the leader prescribing new systems, the coachee designs or refines their own through guided inquiry. The coach might ask, what small habit change would make the biggest difference here? Or, how can we make this behavior more obvious and easy? This ownership of habit formation dramatically increases follow-through and turns the 4 laws of behavior change into personally tailored tools. Extreme ownership and grit are activated at every level. Coaching questions place responsibility squarely with the individual while providing the support needed to sustain perseverance. A gritty leader coaches others to develop their own grit. What would perseverance look like on this project for the next 6 months? Or, when you hit the inevitable plateau, how will you keep going? The combination of ownership and coaching prevents grit from becoming isolated suffering and turns it into supported, purposeful endurance. Team cohesion, Chapter 8, accelerates when leaders replace directive meetings with coaching-style interactions. The 5 dysfunctions are addressed organically. Trust builds through vulnerable questioning and listening. Healthy conflict emerges when real challenges are surfaced. Commitment follows from self-generated solutions. Accountability increases as people own their answers, and results improve because focus stays sharp through strategic, yes-no discipline. Radical candor integrates smoothly because caring questions create safety for direct challenges. Disciplined greatness emerges as coaching spreads. Teams stay within the hedgehog circles because questions repeatedly bring conversations back to focus, passion, and impact. Level 5 leaders naturally coach this way, humble enough to ask rather than tell, driven enough to ensure high standards through inquiry rather than control. In daily leadership practice, building the coaching habit requires intentional rewiring. Leaders start by noticing their own advice monster, the impulse to jump in with solutions, and consciously pausing to ask a question instead. They practice the 7 questions in low-stakes situations first, then expand to performance conversations, strategy sessions, and development discussions. Environment design helps. Placing reminder cards with the questions in visible spots or building them into meeting templates turns coaching into an atomic habit. Tracking coaching conversations and reflecting on their usefulness accelerates mastery of the habit itself. Challenges are common. Some leaders fear that asking questions takes too much time. In reality, good coaching often saves time long-term by building capability and reducing dependency. Others worry that questions will expose their own uncertainty. The growth mindset reframes this as strength. Modeling curiosity and learning is powerful leadership. Resistance from teams accustomed to directive styles is overcome through consistent demonstration. People quickly prefer being asked over being told once they experience the empowerment and respect it conveys. When the coaching habit becomes cultural, the philosophy of resilient ownership reaches its fullest realization. Leadership multiplies because every manager becomes a developer of other leaders. Organizations develop depth and resilience as capability compounds at every level. Motivation becomes largely self-sustaining because people experience autonomy, mastery, and purpose through their own thinking and ownership. Positivity is grounded and resilient. It stems from the quiet confidence of knowing one is growing, contributing meaningfully, and surrounded by leaders who believe in one's potential enough to ask rather than dictate. This final chapter reveals the elegant unity of the entire system. The growth mindset foundation provides the belief that people can expand. Atomic habits supply the daily structures. Intrinsic drive supplies the energy. Extreme ownership demands responsibility. Grit provides endurance. Genuine influence builds the relationships. Disciplined greatness gives direction. Overcoming the 5 dysfunctions creates the team environment. Radical candor ensures honesty. And the coaching habit ties it all together by making every interaction a vehicle for activating these principles in others. In resilient ownership, the ultimate measure of a leader is not how much they know or how well they perform individually, but how effectively they unleash the potential around them. The coaching habit achieves exactly that. It shifts leadership from hero to multiplier, from director to developer, from controller to coach. Leaders who internalize this habit discover profound freedom. They no longer carry the unsustainable burden of having all the answers. Instead, they create cultures where answers emerge collectively, ownership is widespread, and excellence becomes self-perpetuating. The philosophy comes full circle. What begins with personal growth mindset and daily habits ends with organizational transformation through empowered people asking better questions of themselves and each other. This is the quiet revolution of resilient ownership. It does not promise effortless success or overnight transformation. It offers something far more durable, a complete, interconnected system for building resilient individuals and resilient organizations. One question, one conversation, one empowered choice at a time. When leaders master the coaching habit, they stop leading from the front and start leading from within every member of their team. The result is authentic excellence that compounds across people, teams, and generations, grounded, practical, and profoundly human.